just grab 'em by the balls and shove it in your mouth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today I will be cooking for one of my close friends who I went to uni with, who also saw my journey as a content creator and as a food lover. And I have essentially a 2-course menu in mind. He will arrive in about, I think 4 to 5 hours. I'm already behind schedule, so we gotta keep moving and start cooking. 3, 2, 1. So our Uber's about to arrive, or here it is. So for our first trip, we're already at a cost of 15 francs. We're in town. To be honest, I'm fucking stressing like crazy because my friend, he is so fucking punctual. It's going to break my balls today. So yeah, I really need to fucking run and get my shit together. So for our first stop, we're gonna get the heart of the beef fillet, and we're gonna stop here at my favorite butcher at Bouche Kiri. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first grocery cart done. So we have a really nice piece of cœur de filet, which already costs me around 130 Swiss francs. Well, technically I'll be making 4 portions, so I'd have sort of like 2 backups and 2 serving ones, but so probably be a slight cheaper than this. So probably around per portion, maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 francs. So for all of our groceries here, it was quite a lot. We also had to shop for another project, which you will see soon. And it's going to be in a very beautiful region. I don't know if you know where it could be. It has to do with wine. If you do have an idea, please comment below. But yeah, total price so far for everything was 223 Swiss francs, which is actually incredibly expensive. That said, I think roughly it goes down an additional 65 francs. So it comes to, I think for the total groceries, at least for the beef Wellington and for the dessert, that will make to around 150 francs. Mind you, again, we're going to create about 4 portions. So it should come around to 30 francs per person. Yeah, so quite expensive. Of course, we also have to buy some ingredients that obviously are a little bit more, so we couldn't individually itemize things. If you live in Switzerland, you know it's expensive. If you don't live in Switzerland, it just gives you a bit of context how expensive things can be in here. Folks, that's it. We have everything ready, and now it's time to fucking cook. So we are back in my kitchen. We have all of our ingredients. Just to recap, we're going to make a beef mini Wellington. I'm also going to serve it with a nice silky potato puree with some, I think, carrot sous vide glazed carrots. And then for dessert, we're going to have a really nice and simple, as well as classic apple crumble with a nice vanilla custard and a vanilla white chocolate ice cream. I think in combination of the two, it's gonna work really nice. And then we're also gonna have, with that, a really nice red wine with the main course. Again, we're incredibly behind schedule. I did message my friend. I said, hey, look, can you give us another hour? We're gonna find out in a minute if that's possible or not, but I think it will. Nonetheless, in terms of the initial deadline, it's in about 3 hours. So anyways, we'll see how far I get in 3 hours with a 2-course menu. So without further ado, let's start cooking. All right, so here we have some really good store-bought pasta. What the fuck? I'm already cooked. Am I cooked, chat? No, here we have really good puff pastry, butter puff pastry. But as you can see, it is incredibly thin. And so with my technique, I kind of like to double layer it so it has a bit more thickness. Of course, if you make your own puff pastry versus buying in store, then you can sort of dictate on how much of a thickness that you want. These are our sheets of puff pastry. The reason why I'm doing it now is because it is quite susceptible to warmth, and which makes it more difficult to have a sort of a nice wrapping around the Wellington. So now I'm just going to chill it, ideally in the freezer. And then once it's chilled again, I'll start to shape a little bit and cut it for the individual portions. So now we're gonna just do all of our mise en place as quickly as possible. We have our Swiss chard. I just trimmed it a touch. We have some ice water, so once I do the blanching for about 20 seconds, we stop the cooking process straight away. We have some paper towel to sort of dry it, and then we're just gonna go through those leaves and then move to the next process. So that is done. Just gonna quickly put that in ice water. And I'm just gonna close this, just give it a nice gentle tap. Next, we're gonna do our spinach crepe. We have some whole milk, flour, and our spinach, and 1 egg. Give this a good blend. Filter this through a rather coarse sieve. I think I still wanna have a little tiny chunk of that spinach, so I don't want it completely ultra smooth. I know in my original recipe, I think I double strained it. Just gonna add just a touch of oil here, give this a good coating. So here we come with our first crepe. We want it a little bit more thicker, and you'll see the reason why later. So this is good to flip. So next we're gonna do our Duxelles. We have just a bunch of different mushrooms, chanterelle, Swiss mushrooms, I think, whatever mushroom, patella, I don't know. Now we're gonna saute our mushrooms, gonna add a generous amount of oil. So initially we're supposed to have some prosciutto, I forgot it. Here we have some really beautiful smoked jambon. I'm just gonna slice this into really nice cubes. We're gonna lightly saute them and then add them into the mushroom Duxelles. All right, that's getting hot. I'm gonna add a touch of oil here. So we're gonna add some of that jambon. We're gonna add our sprig, bit of thyme leaves. Next comes our beef stock. I'm gonna add some butter. So we're just gonna add a touch of pepper. Chef's kiss, absolutely beautiful. A really nice sort of mixed, complex mushroom feel. You sort of taste that thyme coming through. I'm just gonna put this here. There we go. So here we have some double layered puff pastry. These ones are gonna be our top ones, our covering ones. Just gonna add a bit of flour. In here, I'm just gonna wing it a little bit, doing everything a little bit by eye. And any excess pastry we can use for the garnishing elements, which we'll see a bit later. So again, I'm just gonna put this all in the freezer to chill. All right, so here we have our beautiful fillet beef, part of the fillet. Again, I'm just gonna kind of like wing it here a little bit, just sort of freestyle it, but we want sort of nice equal shapes. I won't be also needing all of these fillets, I think, maybe actually. Doing 4 portions, so actually maybe. All right, I'm just gonna lightly season these, just a touch, the salt. So we're gonna very quickly sear them, not too much, otherwise it will start to cook them too much. We don't want that. And also you might be wondering why 4 portions? Well, both me and my friend, we're big fellas and we can easily smash 2 portions each. And it also gives me a little bit of practice in terms of the plating aspect. So again, a bit of oil, nice and hot. We add these little fillets. All right, just a nice flip. All right, that's nicely done. Here we have our crepe. It's gonna be our little base. I'm gonna use some of the thicker ones or even double layer in. All right, we're gonna trim our Swiss chard. We're just gonna take off that center stem because it's gonna make it's a little bit too thick. It's also gonna make it very difficult to wrap around the beef. Another hour has lapsed and we are essentially done with all the prep for the Wellington. Now we just have to assemble it, fridge it so it can chill a bit, especially for the pastry, and then very quickly move on to the dessert. Just gonna lightly saute some eschalots. I'm gonna add a bit of butter as well. Jambon, know what it's called in English. Enhance the flavor a bit. Potato puree. We're going to do some sous vide carrots, little baby carrots. I'm gonna add some butter as well, and a touch of caster sugar, and a sprig of thyme. Do this 95°C, 30 to 45 minutes. I'm gonna add some salt in here, which I forgot. Moving back to our stock, I was just trying to really caramelize this as best as possible to create this really nutty, rich, buttery, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So next is Wellington wrapping. shallots, their jambon is nicely caramelized. Now we're gonna add some beautiful port, a generous amount, and just reduce this until all of the alcohol has evaporated. Okay, so now we're gonna start assembling our Wellingtons. So here we added our beef stock. In the beef stock there was also a bit of that. We basically deglazed that pan where we seared the fillet, just to sort of additionally add that beefiness flavor through. All right, so here we have some off-cut pastry, which we're going to use as part of the garnishing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our mini beef Wellingtons. If I do have to say, they look a little bit scrappy. We have one or two good ones, but it is what it is. Now we're going to lightly coat them in our egg wash and then add our garnishing elements. So now we're going to move on to our potato puree. Press this through this fine sieve. So here we have our mash. We're just going to dry it out just a touch. And then we're going to add some butter and cream as well as some sea salt. Alright, so here we have our beautiful red port stock. So we're just going to gently push that on these on the solids. Alright, so now we're going to move into the dessert aspect. Everything is more or less done for the mise en place. The Wellingtons have been coated. It needs a second coating, and then they'll finally start. They will go into the oven. But now we're just going to quickly do the prep for the dessert, which is going to be an apple crumble, and hopefully won't take too long. So we have some walnuts, a little bit of flour, some cinnamon, some sugar, some additional sugar, brown sugar, and a bit of butter. Alright, that's our crumble done. So we kind of want it sort of semi-chunky. You don't want it too super fine. So just like this, and now we're going to just chill it a bit more and then break it into further additional chunks. Alright, so now we're going to make our white chocolate ice cream base. We're going to add our vanilla in here, our seeds, the caster sugar, and then some of these egg yolks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So next we'll do our custard base, or creme anglaise. Again, caster sugar, our egg yolks. We're just gonna temper our egg yolks with some hot milk mixture. So now we're just going to thicken this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are slowly closing the gap. So our ice cream custard base is nicely thickening. We're just going to take that off the heat. So we're also gonna add some white chocolate in here. Usually I would do this directly into the pot, but my pot is too small and I've used every other pot in this fucking household. So we have to fucking improvise. So we're just gonna let that sit so it melts a bit. Then we move on to our second custard mix. All right, so actually instead of doing the custard, we'll straight away move into baking our Wellingtons. Just in terms of timing wise, it just makes a little bit more sense. I'm just gonna give this one additional coating. So just gonna add a touch of sea salt. Go back to our custard mix. Again, just temper those egg yolks. So again, the same process as we did with the ice cream, but this is going to be sort of our custard that's going to be poured on top of the crumble. So we have sort of a mixture between hot and cold elements. So if you come a little bit closer, we'll just start with 2 Wellingtons so we just can sort of see the final cooking temp. They're a little bit thicker, so we sort of have to test it a bit. Another trick is here that you have a preheated board, like a tray that you can place your Wellington on. So in terms of sort of the cooking aspect, especially from the bottom, it's going to crisp up nice and evenly. And that is quite important. Otherwise, if you'll end up most likely having sort of a soggy Wellington base. Here goes our second one. So next we're going to move into our apple, well, not apple, we're already doing our apple crumble, but we're going to start with our apple compote. I'm just going to de-seed this. So now we're just going to chop our apples to nice little squares. So now we're going to saute our apples with some white sugar and a bit of cinnamon. And then we're gonna do the final cooking aspect inside the oven. So going back to our custard with the white chocolate that has nicely melted. We're just gonna give this a nice whisk. That's just gonna help us chill the ice cream mix a bit down before we add into the ice cream machine. It's sort of a great hack, especially if you wanna chill things really quickly. Liquids, you can sort of do this and you save a lot of time instead of having to freeze it or fridge it. So our apples are slowly coming there, getting soft. The sugar's starting to caramelize, it's nice and syrupy. So now we're gonna add just some butter. Portion this here. So essentially just gonna chill this apple, whatever you wanna call it, just so it's nice and cool. Then we'll add the crumble. And then when everything else has been done, we just add into the oven and bake it. All right, so here are our first baked Wellingtons, looking good. So just a bit of context, which I forgot to add, is we're just resting our Wellingtons. It's really important that the meat rests. So those juices as we cut are not going to sort of just spill out. It also means the pastry won't end up being at the bottom incredibly soggy. We still want it sort of flaky and crispy. So yeah, now we're gonna do the final prep. We're gonna start with the potato puree. We're gonna add our butter in here and just sort of stir this through. Just gonna add a touch of cream. And this is our potato puree, absolutely beautiful. Okay, that's good. I'm just gonna check on our stock that is nicely reduced. Just gonna slightly reheat this. And just also check that seasoning. So next we're gonna start on our sous vide carrots. Just gonna slightly reheat them. All right, so here we have our Wellington, absolutely beautiful. Plates are nice and hot. We are ready to plate. All right, we're gonna start with our potato puree. Last but not least, we have our beautiful jus. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first course out. It has taken way too long. My lovely friend is already here. He's been patiently waiting. So bless his heart. So just to give you a quick recap, we have silky, buttery potato puree. We have sous vide carrots, nicely glazed with a bit of parsley. Then we have the star of the dish, which is the mini single serve Wellington with a nice mushroom Duxelles wrapped in Swiss chard, and then of course that lovely pastry. And then last but not least, we have a really nice reduction port beef jus. It looks absolutely stunning, and without further ado, before everything goes cold, we have to serve it up. Caillasse Syrah du Valais Reserve Vin de. He said it was good. He said it would work well with the Wellington. So we're going to find out. So, my friend.
Thank you.
So, thank you for your patience. I know you've been waiting quite some time. You have beef Wellington, single serve, some potato puree, and some glazed carrots. And then, of course, some wine, Syrah from the Valais region.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that you would try it and give me a bit of feedback on what you think. Of course, please be open, don't be nice. We love criticism.
Sure. Salute.
Me and Thomas went to uni together, and this is where my cooking journey became really serious, and I was really cooking sort of like every weekend. And so Thomas sort of lived that, he saw it, he saw the whole process. And I guess it's a nice almost 360 to see where it has sort of ended up being.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So the big progress from the first recipes on Instagram with special effects.
True.
That was fun.
To something a little bit more serious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's start.
Yep, santé.
Bon appétit.
So far, everything tastes really nice, very gourmand, as we say en français.
The beef tastes really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True, beef is very nice. It has a nice medium rare finish.
Uh-huh.
It's flaky. Maybe it could be a little bit hotter. It's always a bit of a challenge at home.
Yeah. especially when you're filming, right?
That too, yeah, filming and in shots. What are your thoughts so far?
I like the combination. I like the mushroom. Even if it's subtle, you can feel it, and it's a nice combination with the beef. I need to try a bit more to
Okay.
give more details.
I mean, one thing I definitely can already say here that annoys me a little bit is the carrots.
Okay.
They're a little bit too textured. They should have been a touch softer. Has a little bit too much of a bite.
I feel also the beef at some part could be a bit less cooked.
Okay. That's true in certain areas.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's also something I pointed out while I was sauteing the steaks, that you have to be really careful that you don't cook it too much. So I think a key here that I sort of missed was having a really hot skillet and just quickly searing it.
I never tried beef Wellington. I saw a lot of beef Wellington recipes, but I never tried it. Tried to cook or even tried it at the restaurants. And I really like beef, as you know.
True.
And I think it's an interesting way to eat it. It's a nice combination.
So I hope you enjoyed the first course. Maybe if you can give me a score. I don't know what kind of score you want to give me based on creativity, execution, visual, taste.
Okay. So based on every factor or in the total?
I don't know, totally. I just give us a bit of a rundown. So
I'll say 8 out of 10.
okay.
I'm
What's
quite strict, so it's a good rating.
I feel like
I'd
you're being
say-
very generous. I would have given myself maybe a 6.
No, because
6, 7.
the global taste was really great. I think the jus, as you said, the jus was really good.
Okay, good.
The beef could have been better cooked. Like
Yeah.
The cooking
Overall.
time was a bit over. But the puree was amazing. You know, I love butter, and it was really tasty. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the first time I tried
Beef
Wellington. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing now is, as I said before, you have a reference, so
Yeah.
you can always give me feedback from what other Wellington you'll ever try and see if it's any good or not.
With pleasure.
Yeah. So, thanks for that. Now we'll move into the second course, which hopefully you're not going to wait too long as you did with the first course. But yeah, so hold on. We'll get you some fresh water and we'll keep moving.
Thank you.
So, to our last and final course, we have our beautiful apple crumble. Our apple and cinnamon compote has nicely chilled. We have 3 portions, 1 for a backup or perhaps for my cameraman. And now we're going to add our beautiful crumble. Just gonna a little touch again. Just want to sort of like lightly cover it. Come with the second one. And last but not least, our third one. So now we're gonna just bake these until the top is nicely caramelized and crusty. Yeah, and next we're gonna do the ice cream. So this should churn, hopefully, just in time when our crumble has finished baking. So our ice cream is about to be done. If you come a little bit closer, it's looking absolutely beautiful, nice and silky. So hopefully Thomas will like this dessert. Crumble is also done. Looking beautiful. So here we have our beautiful thick custard, white chocolate vanilla ice cream. All right, folks, there we have it. Beautiful, hopefully beautiful and delicious apple crumble.
Lovely.
So for our final course, we have a apple custard dessert with a vanilla white chocolate ice cream and also a custard vanilla sauce. So the reason why I chose this dessert is because I think it's sort of in theme with the main course and therefore feels a bit fitting, as well as with sort of the weather heading into autumn/winter. I think it just made sense.
Yep.
Well, oh yeah, so there's the custard sauce. You just pour a little bit over,
Sure.
and then I'll follow.
You follow.
I follow after. Beautiful, look at that. What are your first thoughts?
I really
Hate it, love it?
Yeah, I really like it. I like the vanilla. We have a good taste of the vanilla, strong taste, and I like the mix between ice cream and the warm custard, which is really nice, and the play on the texture also between apple, ice cream, and custard and crumble. Actually,
It's kind of like, yeah, warm, crunchy, cold.
yeah.
Me personally, I love sort of those kind of desserts versus sometimes overly sort of like really light desserts or
Fresh.
you know, overly fresh. It depends, but it really depends, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it fits the occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe a criticism here could be maybe in terms of sort of the sugar aspect, it could be maybe conceived as a touch too sweet.
Yeah, I agree.
So again, it depends maybe. For me, I think it's still okay, but maybe for some people it could be on that border where it's like, you know what, it's too sweet. I would prefer something maybe a little bit lighter or fresher. Well, I think if I were to serve it in my restaurant, I think definitely I would have maybe more of a wider plate. Or maybe a plate underneath this one as you would serve.
Yep.
So maybe the colors pop a little bit more.
But I think in the restaurant it's really nice to have this.
As a sort
As
of
a
like
customer,
correct,
you
yeah.
always, you always enjoy to add the amount of sauce. That can be also in the meat, in the meat dish, or in the
True.
in the
Yeah.
dessert.
Sort of creates that element, like this sort of interactive element or process as you're eating. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're never dissatisfied about the amount of sauce.
Yeah.
It cannot be too much or not enough.
True, yeah. I think there's nothing worse than not having. I feel like it's a little bit. I don't know if you also feel like that way. I fucking hate it when you go to a restaurant, you have a starter that comes with bread, like a tartare or some other, I don't know, starter with bread, and they just bring just 2 slices. And you already know the 2 slices are not going to be enough for the actual whatever filling that is in the plate.
Yeah.
Unless you add so much filling on top of the bread. I don't know why. I don't know what's the reason behind that.
I don't know.
I don't know if you've experienced the same, but it's always with the starters, and there's like some sort of entree that has a lot of food on the plate, but requires bread to be eaten with. Somehow is always.
Tartare is a perfect
yeah,
example.
tartare,
I
yeah.
agree. I don't know.
Well, any last comments?
What can I say?
Timing, sweetness, presentation can always improve.
Timing. What would be the rating of timing? Let's be honest.
I think I was 2 hours late. Did I miss the 2 hour mark? I gave you a heads up 1 hour plus 2 hours late.
Yeah, then 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah, it's still alright for the quality of food.
Yeah, thankfully.
No, but last comments, that was a really good meal.
Yeah.
Like I had enough. It was great. Good combination overall, and yeah, I was happy to try, especially the Wellington. And this was really, how to say, rich and tasty. So
Yeah.
good final touch.
If you were to sort of communicate to my following, how would you rate this standard of food? Would you say home cooking and it could be pushed a bit further into sort of more restaurant cooking? Or would you say, okay, we're already hitting sort of that restaurant quality food, or maybe even a little bit further?
This is definitely for me restaurant quality food, because it's already above the level of the most of the restaurant that you can find here, 100%. Of course, there are always stuff to improve, but I would say we are far from classic home cooking here.
Okay.
And you feel that there is preparation, that there is research and trials.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Glad to hear. So, thanks, Thomas, for joining me today and trying my food. I really appreciate your feedback. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I hope you've had a good time. Again, my apologies for the wait. We'll definitely fix that for next time. And I think that sums up about it. If you do have any questions, or if you want to add any comments, please comment below. And as always, till next time.